Hi, all you um, creative people that are out there. Um, Good morning. I hope you've had a lovely week. Not dying from the heat in any areas that you might be, or any storms that you might be involved in. I know here in Idaho, we've got humidity, thunderclouds, and heat. So we're kind of no rain, but still we're kind of suffering from the humidity because we usually don't get a lot of humidity, but this time, yeah, we are. Let me adjust myself here. Um, I had not planned on doing a video today, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. And one of them has really, can I say, pissed me off? I'm sorry if that offends anybody. Um, and it has nothing to do with politics. Well, it could involve politics in the sense that, um, how the medical thing is going with the government and stuff like that. But I don't know. I really don't know. Just a little bit of background knowledge. I have been suffering pain, constipation. I have a batter prolapse and some other prolapse going on. So I've been in a lot of pain and a lot of issues. I had silly. Oh, I had. I can't pronounce the word today for some reason. I had an attack of a nerve, and I could barely walk for about a month and a half. I'm still unable to walk because it really weakened my legs. So I'm looking forward to going to therapy for that, which I'm really happy to do so because I really have struggling to go upstairs and getting in and out of the car. So my doctor here in Idaho Falls sent me up to Boise to see a urologist, gynecologist, something like that. So my husband and I are all excited. We said, let's make a date out of it. We'll go up the day before, get a hotel, go out to dinner, and then we'll go to the doctors, and then we'll do what we can throughout the rest of the day to get home. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have driven in Boise. Oh my gosh, it is a madhouse. And we got lost a couple of times and we kept arguing over the directions I was getting on Google Maps based on the address because they were showing if you got out of Google Maps and got back into it, it was a total different way. Oh it was disastrous from there. But we got there, found the doctor's office, walked in there, sat down, just kind of questioning what was going to go on and what she was going to do. So they put me through a little exam, just to see how much the prolapse is bothering me and other things. And she comes in and she says, well, there's like 3 or 4 different surgeries we could do. One of them is up on the top of your abdomen, but you have a hernia there and I can't do the surgery unless the hernia is removed. Great. Okay, fine. And then she goes on to say, you're still obese. Well, duh. And so I can't work on you until you get down to your ideal weight. Hmm? She goes, yes, you need to be down to your, or closest to your ideal weight as you can be before we can perform any kind of surgery. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm 67 years old. I am never going to be at my ideal weight again. And my doctor that I have now is putting me on Ozempic to not lose weight, but help me to control my diabetes, which it has. It's got my counts down. So now we're at a pre diabetic level and we're trying to get it lower so I won't be a diabetic anymore. And if the weight loss comes, that's great. He's never talked to me about where he wants me to be as far as weight loss. And I tried to explain this to her. She says, well, you're just going to have to talk to him and see what he wants to do. Okay. It took us 3.5 hours to get there from Pocatello to Boise. And I had an episode the night before, so I didn't get much sleep. So I was grouchy. And then to have her tell me that I know I'm overweight, but I'm working on it. I have lost weight. I know it's my fault for mistreating my body the way I did throughout my life. I mean, after you have 6 kids, and you're basically raising them on your own because your husband is a truck driver, you don't take care of yourself. And I blame that on myself. But she made me feel like an ant, you know. And so I'm going to get a little gross here, and I'm sorry if this grosses anybody out, but they have this thing called a ring, and you put it up in the vaginal area, and it pushes back the prolapse. And she wants me to use that until I can get my weight down to an agreeable weight. And I'm going like, oh, okay, all right. I just walked out of that office so depressed, so pissed off. My husband just was like, this is bullcrap. We come up here to seek help, and she just didn't seem to understand we need help. What can we do to get me out of this pain? She had nothing to offer as far as getting me help for the pain. Oh, yeah, another thing she said, because I have a crooked back. I have scoliosis. It's really bad. My right side is bad. I got bulging discs and so. And she goes, well, that probably has a lot to do with what you're going through too. So I'd advise you to go see your back doctor. And she wants me to go to therapy, which I am doing, but she wants me to do, this might be weird, female therapy. Now, usually female therapy is the Kegel floor exercises. But what she is talking about, and I don't have a name for it, okay, I'm sorry, is more intense female therapy. So I got to see if my therapist will do that. And if he does, then I have to call her and have her send the letter so that we can get it all approved. If not, we got to find a therapist that will do that therapy. I mean, this is downright just crazy. I mean, don't get old, people. Just don't get old. That's all I can say. Don't get old. Meantime, we're trying to figure out how to get my husband retired before 2 years. Yeah, I haven't really been able to sleep in my bed for years, right? And I was hoping that some kind of surgery was going to help me. We did discover a couple of days ago that if I sleep like a taco, because we have one of those beds that you can fold head or feet up. If I sleep on a taco, I can sleep on my left side, and I can sleep for great for a couple of hours. But then I have to get up and move around, and then I can go back to bed. My husband can't sleep like that. So we had to go to the mattress place and buy another bed, the one that has the dual sides, so that I can control my side and he can do what he wants. And there goes money again, when you're trying to save money so you can have your husband retire. It just went all downhill from Wednesday for us. And then we had a TV that burned up, and so we got to replace that TV. And holy freaking moly. I just like, are we ever gonna get a break? It just seems sometimes there are no breaks in our life. And I know that's not true. We get a lot of breaks. We have wonderful children. My daughter in Washington is going to help us out to find out different programs or different ways to help my husband get retired. I'm looking into like senior citizen food assistance and rent assistance to see if he retires, if we would what's the word? Qualify for that. Sorry. um, and see what we need to make, and because we don't want to go beyond that. So that's where we are as far as with my illness and Social Security and Medicare and all wrapped in one. And yeah, so yeah, it's just been a real bad couple of days. And okay, people, I know you're going to probably rant and rave and bawl me out or cuss me out, but we like Taco Bell. So we went to Taco Bell yesterday. I had no lettuce on my quesadilla. It was a chicken quesadilla. I ate it. Within 2 hours after I ate it, I was sick. And I spent most of my time, from the time we got home till early in the morning, in the bathroom. So I don't know. We know it's not that parasite thing, because I would still be going to the bathroom or in the hospital. But it was just crazy. I've never had a reaction to Taco Bell like that. So we're not going to go eat there again or for a long, long time. So, yeah. But, oh, yeah, right. Sorry. I was going to call it a thing and say, well, that's it. But no, okay. We were watching YouTube the other day, and they were talking baby boomers, Generation X, and kind of something. And then there was one video that said Generation Jones. Well, my maiden name is Jones. And I thought to myself, okay, they're going to make fun of the Joneses. Everybody wanted to be the Joneses, or you were called Jonesy, or you were just something like that, right? So I thought it was going to be like the different names they would call us, and why everybody wanted to be a Jones or follow the Joneses or whatever. And I said, let's watch it. I want to see what it is. Well, no, it wasn't that way. There is, between the baby boomers and Generation X, a generation called Generation Jones. And I'm going like, what? And it fits right in, because I was born in 1959. So it fits right into where I was born, or my husband too. And I'm going like, okay, so why are we so different from the baby boomers and Generation X? What makes us Generation Jones? And I thought to myself, this is very interesting, because everything they talked about fits us. And I forgot my notes. So I'm going to put you on pause for a minute. I'll be right back. Hi, I'm back. Oh my gosh. Takes me a while to walk. So sorry about that. But yeah, it brought up some interesting stupid chair. Let me get situated in this chair. All right. It brought up some interesting facts about people in Generation Jones. And it's people born between 1954 and 1965. So I fit right in that era, and so does my husband. So I I don't remember anything about the civil rights movement except for what I learned in school. I do remember when Martin Luther King got shot, but that was about it. And my mom and dad talked to me about it and said, well, someone didn't like what he represented. And that's all they said. And that's one thing about parents of Generation Jones. They're very soft spoken, don't say a lot about things. And, well, my parents were very open about a lot of things. And that was, I think, because I was the only child. And when I wanted something answered, I went to them and they would be open about it. But if they felt that I didn't need to know a lot, then they would answer the question and move on. And that's how they were. So, and another thing they brought up is Woodstock. I definitely only learned about Woodstock in school, and I didn't understand Woodstock. I remember seeing videos with people. It was raining and they're out there naked, taking a shower or whatever they were doing, and I just went, "Whoa, okay." So, yeah, it's like, all righty, let's change channel. And that is another thing. Okay, look at the TVs we have now. We went looking for TVs yesterday, right? Oh my gosh. I mean, there are like $3,000 TVs. And if you want to spend that much money, oh my goodness, you could get 10 brains in it that produces colors and that you would never see in a normal TV when I was growing up. We had a TV, black and white TV. And I remember my mom said, "Oh, the Osmonds are going to be on tonight. They got a concert thing going on with Ed Sullivan." And I went, "Can I record it?" "Okay, you can record it." You know how I recorded it? A cassette player held up to the TV, and that's all you got was the music. So, um, that was our TV experience. But I got to see as the TVs developed, and they got better. And so that was nice. I remember when my mom said, "Hey, they're out in color now. Let's go get a color TV. Yay!" That was a nice experience. So that was, yeah, that was a big whoopee, color TV. So we got our first color TV. Um, Another thing they said, and I remember this, I was at the driving age. We had just bought my car. No, I still had not got my car. I was still driving my mom and dad's car. And it was an old car. And it was a Chevy 56, I think it was. Nice car. I loved that car. And then, and just right before we bought my car, the gas wars came out. So that's what kind of got us to get my car because it was a better gas mileage on it. But I remember sitting in lines for hours with friends, and everybody had their own opinion. Oh, just let it run, let it run. So when you pull up, even though you don't have, somebody can help you push it. I mean, but if you keep turning it on and off, it's going to do it anyway. So it's up to you what you want to do. Okay, well, usually I had friends, so if it ran out of gas, we would push it to the thing. But if you got up to the gas tank and they didn't have gas, they closed it down. So you would have to push it to another gas station if you ran out of gas. Yeah, and then they had like limited amount of gallons you could get. So I remember I did run out of gas one time. And luckily, a friend of mine saw me and he had a um, gas can in the back of his car that he was saving just for this kind of experience. And so he put some gas in my car for me so that we could drive to another gas station and get some more gas. But that was really frustrating. I could never understand, the gas wars. And I forgot to look up who was president at the time, but Yeah, I mean, some of the people that were in this generation Jones are Obama. Well, who did they say? Obama, um, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, um, George Clooney. They are all part of Generation Jones, and I find it interesting that they. Well, no, I don't find it interesting because they did say that Generation Jones grew up in a family that was more to the left. So they grew up being more democratic than anything, except my family were Republicans. They were not Democrats. And so we were just um, not a part of that group. That, it was just funny. But one thing my parents brought up was the fact that even though they voted both at one time, like sometimes Democrat, sometimes Republican, and they installed, it's put that in my head. Gosh, I can't think of words. That it's okay. You don't have to stick with one party or the other. If you see a candidate you want to vote for and he's a Democrat, then vote for that person. You know, we had friends who were just like, you got to vote for a Democrat if you're a Democrat. No, you don't, you know. And so I've always grown up like that. I really did not get into politics. I did vote when I turned 18 and I got to vote. But I still didn't fully understand the power of voting at that time. And like I said, I didn't really get into politics until this last election. And then it was like, wow, this is an election I want to be involved in. And now I'm just involved in it even more. So but that's why I looked at the names and I thought, no wonder they're Democrats. They're part of the Generation Jones, and we grew up in that Democratic era, being a lefty. Yeah, so they just kind of stuck with it. So for them, um, and besides the gas wars at this time, we grew up with astounding um, layoffs and unemployment. It was, people were talking about having um, unemployment lines, and there were unemployment lines. You see people at the unemployment office trying to find a job. Luckily, my dad had a job. He was military at that time. Um, he was going to retire. My mom had a good job. She was working at May Company, and she was high up in the company. So we were okay. Um, it was just seeing the people that your neighbor struggling because he lost his job and he couldn't find another job. And um, but it taught this generation resilience. It taught us that when things get tough, you got to fight even harder. And that's one thing my husband and I do. When things have been tough in our life, we have fought harder. We have found solutions. And we have never given up. We have never gotten on our government assistance. Well, for one reason, when he was in the military, they messed up his check really bad, and we had $800 to get food, to pay bills, to pay the rent that we were trying to find. And so we went to health and welfare, um, asking, hey, is there any way we can get assistance to get some food for the month? We asked, told them it's not going to be forever. It's just going to be for 1 month till we get his checks situated. They looked at oh, you're military? Sorry, we can't do it. I was like, what? He's working at least. Can't you help it? No, they didn't want to help us. So there goes. We learned what to do. We sold things, we pawned things, we made casserole meals. I know my kids lived on hand-me-down clothes for a long time, which they look at it this time that how dare you put us in hand-me-down clothes? And that's all we could do. We couldn't give them. I mean, we had 6 kids. What are you going to do, right? And so, um, yeah, we have a saying that our Heavenly Father, or it's a biblical saying that he told us that I never said it would be easy, just worth it. And we live by that every day. There has, no matter how hard it's been, we have never doubted our decisions on what we've done. Yeah, we look at it and say we could have done things a little better, but we've never said, wow, we really screwed it up. Never. Like, I was told after my 3rd child I was never going to have another kid again because I got really sick and I had cysts on my ovaries and they burst and I got a really bad infection. And the doctor said, sorry, you're not going to have any kids. Well, I knew that was wrong. I knew I was going to have more kids. And sure enough, about 3 months after the doctor's diagnosis, I got pregnant with my 4th child. So, um, and I was like, see, I know you guys don't know. So, yeah. So, like I said, we've never doubted our decisions, never regretted having 6 kids and all that. So, we learned to be resilient, which is good because right now we need a lot of that. um, Another thing, and I don't really go by this because I had my own music that I like listening to, but they said people within this generation grew up with rock, disco, and I remember disco. I loved disco. They had at that time they had dance halls, they would call, our clubs for kids. No alcohol, no tobacco, and it was on certain days at certain times of the night. And we would go and we would just dance and we would have fun. And disco was it. I never really got into a lot of the rock, but it was great just going and having fun. My music of choice was like the Osmonds and the Jackson Five and Captain and Tennille. I loved Sonny and Cher, that kind of music. So I really never got into the hard rock, but my husband did, like Metallica and that stuff. But yeah, and to this day, we're both different in our choices of music, but we do agree on country. Yeah. So, yeah, we do country. Um, I already talked about that. They did call it, before they labeled us Generation Jones, they used to call us the second half baby boomers. I remember that. Somebody said, oh, you're a baby boomer. And my mom goes, no, she's not. She's the second half of the baby boomers. And I always felt like, what? I really don't have a place to be. And that's one thing they brought up in this video, is that Generation Jones kids growing up in certain parts of their life always felt left out because they didn't fit in. We didn't fit in with the hippies and that kind of culture. We didn't fit into the upcoming Gen X culture. We didn't have parents that had fought in the Korean War, but we did have parents or relatives that fought in the last half of Vietnam War, like my dad did. He was a lot of Vietnam War, and that played a lot on being Generation Jones, because we grew up in an era where war was looked upon as a faux pas and very evil, and soldiers were spit upon and called terrible names. And um, I remember my dad had been out of the military, I don't know for how long, and we were managing some apartments in Yuma, Arizona. And these kids circled him and said, "Oh, I know who you are. You used to fight in the war, you stupid, blah, 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 blah." And they broke bottles and they were going to literally attack him. And he had a gun and he shot the ground and it ricocheted and went through the side of one of the kids. Well, my dad had to get arrested for that simple reason. It hit a kid, but the judge just threw it out of court. And he said, "You have the, these kids were out to hurt you. You had the right to defend yourself." But I remember the ridicule I got in school. Your dad is the one that shot that kid. Oh, your dad is a bad person, kind of thing. And I just kind of shrugged it off, you know. Oh well, you know. Another thing they said that though, we are always a group of people that go beyond thinking of ourselves and going out and helping others. And Bill and I have always been that way. We always go out and help others first, sometimes forgetting about ourselves. So, yeah. So, but it brings us pleasure to help others. And um, I know we should think about ourselves, but um, it's just not something we would typically do. We serve others before ourselves. But now we're older, we don't have any kids in the home. We started thinking more about ourselves. Another thing was Watergate. I remember Watergate, even though I didn't truly understand it, but my parents explained it, and I went, wow, see? So back in my time, they had Watergate, just like they got stuff going on in the Democratic House right now. So it's a constant thing that I see going on in our government, our Congress, this lying and cheating and wanting to find out information about other people and blah, 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 blah. I just get like frustrated because who cares? I'm like, who cares? But that's us. That's us people. Um, Another thing they brought up about the Joneses, the Generation Joneses, is that um, we always find out a way to do things on our own. My husband does not like to ask for help. So if he can do it himself, he does. Sometimes that gets us in a pickle. And so I'm telling him, you gotta, you've gotta do it and get some help. I was the same way. I can't tell you the full story, but when I was in school, not in school, but when I was teaching, um, I don't know what was going on, but I had a principal who was out for me, and I never stood up for myself, and I should have, because everything she had written down from other people's opinions was false. And so I said, "This is wrong." And so I quit my job. Well, I didn't really quit. I just told them I wasn't going to teach there anymore. And then after that, I wrote a letter to the superintendent explaining everything, and used her words. And she kind of got in trouble. And I didn't mean that, but it needed to be done. And maybe she learned a lesson. I hope so, because um, you need to go to the person that these people are talking about and asking first before you draw a judgment. And she never did. I was struggling in that classroom, and never once did she come in and say, hey, how can we help? Not once. I would just get in trouble for everything I did. I made a schedule. It was wrong. I did a lesson plan. See, the kids that I worked for worked on the same thing every day, every day, every day. And that was shown on the lesson plan. It was wrong. Okay. I asked my parents, I don't want you to do a lesson plan, but I want you to take something from the lesson that we're doing and participate instead of sitting there and watching me do everything. And they cried and said, she's going to have us do a lesson plan. And then, so I got in trouble. I'm going like, that's one reason I didn't teach adults in college, because they're a bunch of whiny babies. Sorry if I offended anybody that. I didn't mean it that way, but they were. Everything I did as a teacher for a college went back to my advisor and, did you do this? No. Well, they said you did. No. And that's when I decided, no, teaching kids, even though it's a struggle, is better. So, yeah. So I think that's all I have to say. I just thought it was fascinating that I have my own generation Jones now, instead of saying, so where do I fit into baby boomers or Gen X or, yeah, I don't fit into any of those. Yeah, I don't know. So you guys probably all know about, there's probably a lot of you out there listening to this going, oh, I already knew about the Generation Jones. And what you're saying is like, kind of know about it, kind of boring, sorry. But if you did, I'm sorry. And if you want to leave a comment, please do so. I mean, I never heard about Generation Jones, so it's all new to me. And if I mess something up, let me know. I love it. I love comments, you know. But I'm just excited to have my own generation. I don't have to be part of Generation X or Generation Zuma Wada. I have my own generation. Yes. Yes. I don't know. And if anybody has advice out there about this doctor situation, holy moly, let me know. I'm just so frustrated. I mean, we've just decided we'll just do what we need to do, keep going. I'm going to talk to my regular doctor this week and see if he has a suggestion. I don't know. I guess all he can do is go from there, right? You live your life daily as best as you can, and hopefully you'll find the strength to do so. But I got a lot to do so I can get my husband retired, and I'll be busy for the next, hopefully just for the next year. Hopefully. He turned 70 yesterday. Can you imagine that? 70. So I want him home. Him being home for these last couple of days has been a little struggle, but it's been nice. So yeah, it's time for him to come home and take over a little bit. All right. So be sure you hit the like button. And if you liked it so much and you want to subscribe, please do so. I would love it. Okay. Be sure to hit the notification button so that when I make a new video, you will be notified. Okay. And also, if you're interested in doing a YouTube channel, join us at Schools Common Sense Methods. It's run by Michelle and Kevin. I'll put the link of it down in the description box. It's a wonderful school. They teach you a lot of stuff, give you a lot of advice, give you a lot of examples. Yeah, there's people that they talk about that have blossomed and moved on and are doing awesome in the YouTube world. Like Oxiana, I think I said that right. She is just blossoming in that world. me personally right now, this is basically for me trying to get me out of my shell, which it seems to be doing because I'm talking more, enjoying it more. And hopefully one day I'll start seeing more viewers, more subscribers. I'll start seeing maybe some income coming in. You never know, right? I don't want to worry about it right now. Okay, that's not me. So, but if, like I said, if you want to know it, check it out. You get 7 free days, and then after that, it's $9 a month, and then you can like stop it whenever you want. So, yeah, I really feel it's worth it. I'm trying to talk my husband into doing a YouTube channel, especially when he retires, because that guy has so much information in his brain that, oh my gosh, yeah, we could do on one subject. We could probably do 3 videos. So remember, stay happy, be creative, and I'll see you on the next creative video. See ya.